This week I made my own Game Boy. Sort of. The Game Boy Advance is a great piece of nostalgia for millions of people over the world. As my generation was way past the Game Boy consoles, I'd like to revisit it to see what I missed out on over time. So I went on eBay, ordered a Game Boy, and it arrived a few days later. Seeing this console for the first time made me realise one thing. This thing is actually unplayable. The graphics are terrible, and the screen has no backlight, meaning it can't be played in the dark. Even getting this thing to slightly show up on camera was a big challenge. After some quick research online, I discovered that you can mod these consoles using modern screens to make them look way nicer. So I reached out to a company called Retro6, and they sent me a few mods to try out. This is close to £150 worth of stuff, so thank you to Retro6 for sending it all out. The thing that stood out to me the most was the IPS screen they sent, so I'm going to install that in today's video and see how good it is. Since the IPS screen installation needs complete disassembly of the console, I figured I might as well install the new shell while I was at it too. So without further ado, let's install the screen. To install the screen, we of course need to open up the console. Assuming you have the correct screw bits, this is fairly simple. You need to flip over the Game Boy and locate the 6 tri-wing screws on the back cover. There's also one different black Phillips screw under the battery cover. Once they're out, the back cover simply pops off. Luckily this Game Boy wasn't made by Apple, so nothing is glued together. Then there's 3 more screws holding the motherboard in place. Now you can disconnect the screen ribbon cable from the motherboard. After those are taken off, remove the motherboard, and that is all of the screws. That's the whole disassembly process. It's really easy. Now usually you'd remove the screen, but since I'm using a new shell, this part isn't needed. I'll grab the replacement shell. I went for a clear purple design, and drop the new IPS display in place. To properly translate the video signals from the Game Boy to the modern screen, we'll need to use the included custom PCB. Speaking of PCBs, did you know you can get your own printed with today's sponsor PCBWay? That's right, with their quick order services, all you have to do is upload the Gerbers for any PCB board and they'll get them shipped to you quickly and affordably. I've used them for all of my hardware projects so far and the quality is fantastic, as is their service. They also offer board assembly, 3D printing and CNC, making them a one-stop shop for all of your prototyping and manufacturing needs. Go check them out at PCBWay.com. Next I'll plug the display into the ribbon cable port on the controller chip. The second ribbon cable must be chosen depending on if your Game Boy has a 32 pin or 40 pin display type. Then place the motherboard on top, screw it in, and plug the ribbon cable from the screen to the motherboard. Then I'll partly assemble the console and test the display. And that looks pretty good. My screen didn't actually turn on the first time, but one of the ribbon cables turned out to be loose, so if you have any problems, just make sure to check the connections. I went for white buttons to match the purple shell, which are all in the theme of my channel's design. I also got some new button membranes to make the button presses feel new again. The original screen panel was all scratched up, so I added a new glass one to help the cosmetics. And with all that done, we can reassemble the console to see the final result. And there's my modded Game Boy. I'm really happy with how it turned out. If you like this video, like and subscribe and leave a comment on what I should do next. Thanks for watching.